Welcome back over to the Joe Osmond Show. I'm your host, Joe Osmond. For today's episode, we are going to be doing here a ranking of all MLB ballparks here. So let's get into it here. And first off here, we have, looks like Fenway Park here. And this is easily an S-tier stadium. That's one of the best in the league. And just in general, it's a very nice stadium if you've ever been there. It's well maintained. And it's just a great stadium. And a great place to watch baseball. And a classic when it comes down to it, baseball wise. But next up here we have Globe Life Field here, the Texans' new stadium. And this is a D in my mind. I don't like this stadium at all. For it being the newest stadium in MLB, it should be a lot nicer than it is. It's just not as nice as it should be. And a lot of the things too, there's some odd seating. It's just, overall, it's just not that good of a stadium. And I think for as new as it is, it should be a lot better than what it is. But next up here we have Great American Ballpark, the Cincinnati Reds home stadium here, and this is a great stadium. I think this is a stadium. It's not one of like the top stadiums, but it's a very good stadium. Like it's a well made built stadium. I think a lot of fans really enjoy the stadium and going to watch baseball there. The steamboat in center field really ties it together, and I think overall it is a great ballpark. But next up here we have the White Sox Stadium, which is, I'm trying to remember the name because it has a really bad name now, but I was thinking, was it? Oh, Guaranteed Rate Field. That's the name of the field. Like it's just one of those like ones that's like really bad, like you don't even remember what it is. And this is a D stadium too. It's just not a good stadium. It was built in the '90s, and just as of right now, it's just really out of date. And the outfield has good features, but it just needs a lot of work in my mind. Because as of right now, it's just not that good of a stadium, and it needs definite improvements before, we can consider it to be a good stadium. But next up here we have Kauffman Stadium, and this is a B stadium. I think the renovations they did in 2012 really helped out the ballpark. However, it is still from the 70s, and it is pretty outdated to this point. And they're all looking at now building a new stadium in downtown Kansas City for the Royals. But I think Kauffman Stadium is still a good stadium. I love the scoreboard with the crown. That's the best thing, I think, about this ballpark, but it's just a unique design, and I still really like it. And them and Arrowhead Stadium being kind of like a brother and sister stadiums is pretty nice, and I definitely like this ballpark a lot, so I'm going to put it at the B. But next up here we have Lone Depot Park here, and this one's a D. This one used to be a B or an A, but this picture does not show the remodel where they got rid of all the fun stuff, and it's not just a pretty bland stadium. It's all the walls are blue. There's nothing fun. The fish tanks behind him played were removed. Like it's just not that fun of a stadium anymore. Just it's gotten pretty bland, and I'm just not a fan of it to this point. Because it was actually a really nice team. Like as funky as it was with the colors, it was good because it was different. And now it's not even. It's just bland. Like just the blue walls. Like if you look at pictures and games from there now, it just looks awful. It just looks like a bland, like, lame stadium in my mind. And it's a new one, too. Like, it should be, fun and exciting. It's just not. But next up here, we have Minute Maid Park, the Houston Astros home stadium. And this is a stadium. I love this stadium. I think it's been well maintained. It's been, I think, built in the 90s, but it's been really well maintained. And it's had some good renovations. I know they used to have Talus Hill, which is really cool. But what they added in the outfield, honestly, I think really does fit it better and has helped out overall with keeping the ballpark in, the modern age of baseball. And it's a good looking ballpark, and I think that it's probably is one of my favorite ballparks in the MLB. And it looks like a fun place to catch a game, and I hope sometime I'll get down there to catch an Astros game. But it looks like it's a great, fun stadium, and I'm going to put it in the A tier. Next up here we have Nationals Park, and this one I'm going to give it a C. It has a lot of good things, but it also has some things that are kind of bland to me, I love the whole outfield setup. I love, in the background, the buildings. But, it's not much to it really other than that. But it's really just like a average stadium. But it is a definitely nice stadium. But next up here we have Oracle Park, the home of the Giants. And this one here, this is an S-tier stadium. It's a great stadium, one of the best in baseball, and it has been since it was built in the 90s. McCovey's Cove is really fun, a lot of home runs do go in there. And it's always fun to watch one of them land in there. And it's just an iconic stadium. Like, whatever you see a stadium, you think Barry Bonds and, the home run record and all that stuff. And there's been a lot of great moments that have happened here at that stadium. And I think just overall, it is a great stadium and a stadium that I think deserves to be in the S tier. But next up here, we have another one that is going to definitely be going in the S tier here. We have Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I think this is one of the nicest ballparks in baseball. I went there last summer, and it is a spectacular. Utah Street, where the B&O Railhouse is, this whole area is just amazing. Like, if you are a baseball fan, you definitely have to head down there and, see that stadium, because it is something special. Now, the rest of the city's not the best, so I'd be careful if you're down there, but it is a spectacular one, and this is an S tier. But it's just overall, too, it has the feel of an old ballpark, and it was designed that way, and it really has become a classic in my mind. And I can't imagine the Baltimore Orioles playing anywhere other than Camden Yards, in my mind, because that's just what I think of when it comes to Orioles baseball now. But next up here, we have Family Life Insurance Field, I think that's the name of it, or as I like to call it, Miller Park, the home of the Braves, and this one's a C. This used to be a great stadium, but it just has not aged well with time. The dome is still amazing. I love the dome. I think it's a really cool one of the coolest in baseball. However, a lot of the outfield has just become really outdated, and just in general, it's just kind of a bland stadium now. But the one thing I do love is the slide where the Brewers have their mascot slide down. That is always fun. That is one of my favorite things in a ballpark to begin with. And it is a nice stadium for the most part, but it is in need of definite renovations, and pretty soon in my mind, because it is definitely getting out of date there to this point. But next up here, we have Petco Field. Similar things, but we got Petco Field here. And this is an A stadium. It's a wonderfully looking stadium, well built, right in downtown San Diego. It's one of the nicest ones to look at. The Railhouse building, that is, the Steel Co. building in left field. It's just, spectacular building. Like, really does liven up the ballpark. So overall, it's a great ballpark. It's actually, I think it's probably 20 years old now. It's kind of crazy, but it is a really nice ballpark, and it's had some fun baseball, specifically the last couple years. Not this year, because the Padres are kind of tanking, but they've had some fun players that play there. And overall, it is a great stadium to be at, and it looks like a fun time, and hopefully I get to see a Padres game there too. But I'm going to give this an A. It's well maintained, and it really does kind of, dictate some pretty good ball fields. But next up here, we have another classic, and this is my hometown teams, the Pittsburgh Pirates, PNC Park. This is easily an S-tier stadium, one of the best in Major League Baseball. It's designed after a lot of the older stadiums, kind of like Camden Yards, another one of those. And it's a well-maintained stadium. Like, a lot of the modern renovations have worked very well. Now, if the outfield was completely redone 2 years ago, and has now some ballers and stuff, and it's just a great stadium. It's a fun atmosphere, and if you're ever traveling out and you've never been to PNC Park, it is definitely one of the first ones you should go to, because it is a special one. And what really brings this ballpark together, not only is there not a bad seat at all in this stadium, it's the skyline behind it. There was no better view in Major League Baseball than the Pittsburgh skyline from PNC Park. This just is not a better view, and it's just a spectacular ballpark, and it's a shame that the Pirates play. They're not a fun team, the Astros or something. You'd actually want to watch them, because the Pirates are kind of, well, they're not good, but we all know that. But at least the stadium is a spectacular stadium, and I would say probably the best in Major League Baseball. But next up here, we have Target Field for the Minnesota Twins. This is an A stadium, spectacular stadium. It's been well maintained ever since it's been. Oh, that is not Target Field. That is, that's Progressive Field, I think. Yep, that's Progressive Field. Alright, so that's a B tier stadium. Really nicely maintained and looks great. But definitely it's needed some renovations. They had some recently that was kind of a failed renovation, but they are going to be redoing it, and we'll just see how that does play out when it comes to it. But yeah, I like the stadium a lot, and I think it works great for Cleveland. Next up here, we have the Oakland Coliseum, and I'm just going to leave this in a couple words. It is the worst stadium in Major League Baseball by far. It looks like it's about to collapse and kill people. I'm dead serious. I literally think this thing is gonna collapse one of these days and accidentally kill a bunch of fans because it does not look structurally sound whatsoever. And I'm gonna leave this one last fact here for you guys. The Mets had a game there this year where they couldn't commentate on the game because the press box had a possum living in it. That's what you need to know about the stadium. They need to replace it as soon as possible. But next up here we have Wadsworth Center, home of the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's had recently a massive renovation to the outfield, and it looks spectacular. And I'm giving this an A. They have revitalized an old classic and made it even better than it was before. I love the new Wadsworth Center. It looks great. It looks like a fun place to be. And the Blue Jays have been doing good this year, so it's just been fun all around. I really love the outfield they've done, having a lot more futuristic, modern looks to it, yet still sticking with some of the old things that they had from the original parts of the outfield when it was built in the 80s. But next up here we have T-Mobile Park, or as I like to call it, Safeco Field. See, some of these new names, I just hate them. This is one of them. But this is a spectacular stadium, and this is an ATO stadium. I love the outfield setup. I think it works. The roof, this is probably the best retractable roof in MLB, just because it's open air, so even when it's closed, you can still, feel the wind and stuff. It's very nice. Definitely a great ballpark, and this is a fun one to watch, and the Mariners have a good one now. But next up here is, now this is actually Target Field, and this is the Minnesota Twins Stadium, and that's an A. Built recently, and it's been a spectacular stadium. It's worked very well for the Twins. It's like a fun place to watch. And they've even started renovating it some more. They got a new scoreboard this year, and they have this new globe twin thing, which is really cool on the right field stands. And overall, it's just been well maintained, and it's a fun looking stadium, and it just looks great. For a new stadium, it is one of the best ones out there. But next up here, we have Tropicana Field. That's an F. It's just a horrible stadium. That field's not that bad, but everything other than that, it's just awful. Horrible location. The whole upper deck's not even open. Horrible attendance, and it's just a boring place to watch a game. But next up here, we have Truist Park here, home of the Atlanta Braves. This is a B stadium. It's really nice for a new stadium. However, just compared to the other stadiums around Major League Baseball, it doesn't really have much else to offer. It's just a casual, normal stadium. And that's why I gotta put it at B, but it is a nice stadium. I do like it a lot. But next up here, we have Wrigley Field, another classic, home of the Chicago Cubs, and that's an S-tier stadium. You can't not think about baseball and not think about, the Cubs field, Wrigley Field. It's just a spectacular cathedral of baseball. And it's just a historic, great place that the Cubs have played for many years, and hopefully many more years. And its recent renovations have helped modernize it a little bit, yet not destroying the historic parts of this ballpark. Kind of like Fenway, how they have pretty much, renovated, yet it to be more modern, yet keep the old looks. Same thing here, and it's done a spectacular job with that. But next up here, we have the Angels ballpark here. And this is a D stadium. Actually, this is a C stadium. It's not bad. I like the Giesel, but that's really it. In the outfield, other than that, I just think this is kind of a bland stadium. It's from the 60s. It has been renovated, I think, pretty well for what it is. But it's not the best stadium out there. And it's just an okay one to watch the game at. But next up here, we have Yankee Stadium. Actually, new Yankee Stadium. And this is a B. The field is just too small in my mind. There's way too many home runs. It is a softball field. People call it a softball field. Yeah, it is pretty much a softball field. It's easy to hit home runs here. And it is, I do like how they kept it to be very similar to the old Yankee Stadium. However, it just doesn't have the magic of old Yankee Stadium in my mind. As nice as new Yankee Stadium is, I just think old Yankee Stadium was a better stadium. It just had a different feel to it, and a more, I think New York Yankees, I think the old Yankee Stadium, just because that's just what you think of. But it's a nice stadium for the most part, well maintained, but it's just not as good as some of the other ones around here. But next up here we have the home of the St. Louis Cardinals, Busch Stadium here, and this is an A stadium, spectacularly built. It's always fun to, whenever you're watching a game, on TV from there. Great views. Has a great view of the St. Louis skyline with the arch. I would say probably the second best view in all of Major League Baseball next to Pittsburgh's. And overall, it's a very modern yet fun, exciting stadium. And it's just, great stadium to look at. But next up here, we have the Diamondback Stadium here, which is, I think, still Chase Field. I think that's still the name, but they keep changing some of these ones, so I may be using the wrong names. But this one is a B. I love the stadium. I think it's, again, a little outdated now, but it still works well. And I think what's really nice about it is the pool in the outfield. That's one of my favorite parts about that stadium. And I think it has been a well-maintained stadium for the Diamondbacks. But next up here, we have Citi Field. And this is another one I'm going to give a B here. I really love how it's based off Ebbets Field a lot. I'm a big Ebbets Field guy. I'm a big fan of the stadium. However, other than that, it's kind of a bland stadium. The new scoreboard they have, it just seems like it's too big in my mind. Like, it's too big to actually look good. And the whole left field is pretty much bland. But other than that, I think it's a B stadium. And it does look great from the outside. But next up here, we have Citizens Bank Park. And this one's an A, honestly. I think this is a really underrated stadium. As much as I don't really care for Philadelphia and their fans, this is a great stadium, and they really do make this one come alive. I think the outfield, specifically in center field, is really nice to look at. Very fun, and I think overall, it is a great stadium to watch a game at. But next up here, we have Comerica Park, home of the Tigers, and this one's a C. A lot of great things, but it does need a little more work when it comes to modernizing the stadium, because it is a little past its prime. But overall, I think it is a good stadium, and a fun one to watch. A game, even though the Tigers are maybe even worse than the Pirates, pretty much. But yeah, next one here is Coors Field, and this is an S-tier stadium. I know it's a little hard to put Coors Field, but I think just the whole right field renovations they did is just really put the stadium over the top. It looks like a spectacular place to just go watch a game, have fun. Even though the Rockies aren't good, it's just a nice looking stadium, and I think it actually does deserve being the S-tier. So that's the one upset I'm gonna have here. But it is a great stadium to watch a game at. But lastly, we have Dodger Stadium here. And as historic and iconic as this is, I have to give it a C. It's kind of outdated. It does need some more work, I feel like. Especially with the seating. Seating needs a lot of work, because it's getting outdated. However, it is a classic stadium. And, whenever you think of the Dodgers, you do think of this stadium. And I do think it's a great stadium. But it does definitely need some work when it comes to renovating it for the future. But yeah, that will do it for this video. If you guys liked it, please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for more. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.